Friends, we have got a parade of bitter Arctic air lining up, aimed straight at the eastern half of the country. I want to be crystal clear from the start. This is not a hit-and-run cold front that vanishes by morning. We are watching the entire weather pattern flip on its head. This setup is primed to bring persistent, bone-deep cold, heavy snowfall, and what keeps me up at night, a severe ice threat for millions of families in the coming weeks. Coming up around the 3-minute mark, I will zoom in on the neighborhoods most likely to see those dangerous ice storms. By minute 5, we will walk through the weekly timeline so you can plan ahead. And please, stay with me until minute 15. I have got some critical safety advice that could genuinely save a life. We are witnessing the polar vortex waking up and spilling south. If you are not a weather enthusiast like me, just picture a giant whirlpool of freezing air that normally sits tight over the North Pole, spinning fast to keep the cold locked away. When that system gets wobbly, it is like someone left the freezer door wide open, letting all that sub-zero air drain right down into our neighborhoods. Right now, a massive ridge of high pressure is stuck over Greenland. We call it a block in meteorology. Imagine tossing a boulder into a creek. The water has to divert around it. That is exactly what is happening to the jet stream, forcing Arctic air to flood south. Europe is shivering already, and we are next in line. The jet stream, that river of wind driving our weather, is buckling, practically rolling out the red carpet for snow and cold in the east. Meanwhile, folks in the southwest are going to wonder where winter went, with temperatures staying unseasonably high. La Niña is still running the show, doing exactly what we expect by keeping the thermostat cranked up across Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico. Here is the big picture. Our first storm is already forming over Montana. As it heads for the Great Lakes this Sunday, the pressure is going to crash what we call bombogenesis. It is going to explode in intensity. The National Weather Service has lit up the map with watches for Wisconsin and the Midwest, and I guarantee those will turn into warnings before long. Get a load of this. Parts of northern Wisconsin and the upper peninsula of Michigan could get buried under a foot of snow from this first round alone. And friends, that is just the opening act. The long-range forecast shows cold wave after cold wave lining up through mid-January. I want to break down the timeline for you day by day because accurate timing is your best defense when protecting your household. This Saturday might feel pleasant across the east. Don't let it fool you. We are seeing 70s and 80s in the south, and even Iowa is enjoying the 50s. Soak up that mild air while you can, because reality is about to hit hard. By tonight and into Sunday, the storm starts showing its teeth in the northern plains. Montana is already seeing flakes, and Colorado is finally getting some moisture, though not enough to satisfy the ski resorts just yet. Sunday is the turning point. As that low spins up near the lakes, it is going to pull down pure Arctic air on its backside. Temperatures will crash, and winds are going to roar. Expect steady blows of 30 to 40 miles per hour with even stronger gusts. When you mix that wind and snow, you get whiteouts. Visibility can drop to 0 in a heartbeat, making the roads incredibly dangerous. This cold front will stretch all the way to Texas by Sunday. Ahead of it, warm moisture is surging north, and where those two collide, we have a serious ice problem. I need you to pay close attention here. Southern Ontario is right in the crosshairs for ice. We are talking a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch of glaze. A 1/4 inch snaps tree limbs. A 1/2 inch can destroy power grids. Prepare your home for a power outage now. We aren't talking a brief flicker. You could be in the dark for days. The ice danger extends into Quebec and right into Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. Ironically, northern Maine might stay cold enough for just snow, which is actually the better outcome here. Ice is unforgiving. You can plow snow, but ice encases the world. It brings trees down on houses, snaps power lines like twigs, and turns driveways into skating rinks. Even a simple walk to the mailbox becomes risky. It brings to mind Proverbs 22 verse 3. The prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and suffer for it. That is God's wisdom for weather safety. He gave us the science to see this coming so we can be responsible stewards. It is not about fear. It is about preparation. If you are in the ice zone, get ready now. Come Sunday night, the storm centers near Chicago, eastern Minnesota, and northern Wisconsin are going to get plastered with 6 inches of snow or more. Our best computer models are agreeing on totals topping 12 inches for the Michigan Upper Peninsula. As this thing winds up, some of our Canadian neighbors could be digging out from a foot of fresh snow. Further south, it starts as rain for the Ohio Valley. Detroit gets a soaking before the freeze. Chicago might catch some flakes, but the heavy stuff looks to miss the city to the north. Monday morning is the rude awakening. Houston wakes up in the 50s, a shock after the weekend warmth. Up north, wind chills will be biting, dropping near or below zero. By your Monday morning coffee, Mississippi and Alabama will be shivering in the 20s. If you were in a t-shirt Saturday, you will be digging for the heavy parka by Monday. Tuesday gets even colder. Highs in northern Alabama won't even hit 30. Even Florida feels the squeeze. Orlando will have a hard time breaking 50 degrees. By Wednesday morning, if the winds align, we could see frost threatening the citrus crops. After the storm clears, the lake effect engine roars to life. That frigid air moving over the warmer Great Lakes acts like a steam factory, dumping heavy snow bands on the shorelines. Skiers, rejoice! Resorts in the Northeast are finally getting the powder they have been praying for all season. Looking toward the new year, the atmosphere is staying busy. New Year's Eve might usher in another system with snow from Ohio to Pennsylvania. The cold is locking in for a long stay. This isn't a quick visit. Looking out to January 4th and 5th, the models show an even deeper freeze diving into the southeast. We are talking about historically cold air. I won't hype a specific storm that far in advance, that's not how I operate, but this pattern is a textbook setup for East Coast monsters. Combine that entrenched cold with Gulf moisture, and you get the kind of storms that shut down the I-95 corridor. The European model hinted at a northeast storm last night. I take long-range runs with a grain of salt, but the overall pattern demands respect. We need to be ready for real winter. Alright, let's go through the map region by region so you know exactly what to expect for your family. Starting out west, California, you finally get a break. The atmospheric river train is pausing, and those flood watches will drop. Monday and Tuesday look dry. Don't let your guard down, though. By Friday, January 2nd, another system targets the northwest. Washington and Oregon stay calm for now, but the rain returns to California by the following Sunday. Things are looking pretty peaceful out west towards the Rockies. If you are up in the high country of Colorado, Wyoming, or the Wasatch Range, you might catch a few stray snow showers or a light coating, but that is about it. For those of you down in the lower elevations, do not expect much action at all. This certainly is not a major storm system for our mountain friends. Even up in Canada, the storm track is keeping the worst of the weather far to the north. Now, there is one exception. If you happen to be tuning in from the coast of British Columbia, way up past Vancouver, you folks are going to get hammered with some significant snowfall. To my neighbors across the Great Plains, brace yourselves, because Mother Nature is about to flip the switch. It feels absolutely lovely out there right now, almost like spring, but do not get comfortable. A powerful cold front is plowing through this Sunday. By the time Monday rolls around, temperatures in the Dakotas down through Nebraska, Kansas, and Oklahoma are going to plummet 20 to 30 degrees compared to what you are seeing today. We could see a bit of light snow generated by the upslope flow along Colorado's Front Range, stretching down into the Texas Panhandle. I would not lose sleep over it, though. We are not expecting any massive pileups on the roads. Now, the Midwest and Great Lakes regions are a different story. You folks are squarely in the path of this beast. Wisconsin, you need to prepare for a serious winter wallop beginning Sunday evening. Expect anywhere from 6 to 12 inches of heavy, wet snow, with the highest amounts falling in the northern counties. And for the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, I know it has been a long season, but it looks like you are due for another foot of fresh powder. Minnesota, do not think you are getting a pass on this one. The eastern half of the state is likely to pick up 6 inches or more, and the real kicker comes after the snow quits. Once that system moves out, the temperatures are going to crash hard, sending readings well below zero. Folks in Indiana and Illinois, you are caught right in the transition zone. You might see a few snowflakes in Indianapolis or Chicago, but the main hazard is going to be that bitter wind. It will chill you to the bone. Over in Lower Michigan, from Grand Rapids to Detroit, please be careful. You are looking at a treacherous cocktail of sleet and freezing rain. Across the Ohio Valley and into the Mid-Atlantic, it looks like a rain event, but stay alert. Before the freeze arrives, we could see some severe thunderstorms packing wind gusts over 40 miles per hour. As soon as that front pushes through, get ready for a rapid freeze-up. If you are in Columbus, Cincinnati, or Pittsburgh, it is going to feel like you skipped an entire season overnight. You will be enjoying temperatures in the 60s on Sunday, only to wake up to the 20s and 30s on Monday. It is going to be a shock to the system. I have some real concerns about ice accumulation up in the Northeast. Upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, this is exactly the type of weather pattern that brings down heavy branches and knocks out the power grid. Even a quarter-inch of glaze can cause significant damage. Also, for those near the lakes, get ready. The lake effect snowbands are about to fire up. To the hardy folks in Buffalo, Syracuse, and Erie, I know you have seen it all before. However, with this blast of Arctic air settling in, these snowbands might persist for several days. Make sure your snowblowers are working and keep those shovels by the door. The Southeast is in for some wild weather swings. Right now, it is gorgeous. Outside Virginia, Georgia, the Carolinas, you are enjoying near-record highs. But mark my words, come Tuesday, you will be bundling up with temperatures running 15 to 20 degrees below average. A 40-degree drop in that short a time is unusual, but it is coming. Even down in North Florida, you are not immune to this cold snap. Folks in Orlando, you better bring those potted plants inside or cover them up because you could see temperatures touching the freezing point by Wednesday dawn. I want to take a moment to talk about something more important than just the maps and charts. We need to focus on keeping you and your loved ones safe. Forecasting the weather is my job, but being prepared is your responsibility. Let's go over some practical steps to weather this storm. Winter driving is where we see the most tragedy, and it breaks my heart every year. The solution is simple, but so many people forget it. Just slow down. I am not talking about a few miles per hour. If the sign says 65, you should be doing 40 or even 30 in these conditions. Arriving late is a whole lot better than not arriving at all. You cannot argue with physics. When you are on ice, it takes you 9 times longer to stop than on dry pavement. Just think about that for a second. If it normally takes 100 feet to brake, on black ice you are looking at the length of 3 football fields before you come to a halt. Give the car in front of you a massive amount of space. Forget that standard 3-second rule. It does not apply here. You need 6 to 8 seconds of buffer zone. Pick a road sign. Start counting 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi until you hit 7. If you reach that sign before you finish counting, you are following too close. Drive your vehicle as if you are handling fine china. No sudden accelerations, no slamming on the brakes, and no jerking the steering wheel. Pretend there is a brimful cup of piping hot coffee sitting on your dashboard, and your goal is not to spill a single drop. That is the level of smoothness you need. If you feel the tires lose their grip, the most important thing is not to panic. Do not jam on the brakes or you will lock up the wheels and lose all control. If you have anti-lock brakes, apply steady pressure. Otherwise, pump the brakes gently. Steer in the direction of the skid, keep your eyes on where you want to go, not on the hazard you are trying to avoid. The smartest thing you can do is simply stay off the roads if you do not absolutely have to travel. Stay home, make some hot chocolate, and enjoy the time with your family. Driving in this weather requires serious skill and focus, so why take the risk if it is not essential? If you find yourself in a whiteout or seeing vehicles sliding off the road around you, listen to your instincts. Pull off at the next safe exit and park it until things improve. There is no meeting or job worth risking your life for. We lose far too many people on the highways during storms. Do not let yourself become a statistic. If you have no choice but to drive, make sure you have an emergency kit in the trunk. I mean real survival gear that can keep you safe if you get stranded overnight. Throw in some sleeping bags or heavy wool blankets, and always keep your gas tank at least half full. It adds weight for traction and prevents your fuel lines from freezing up. Make sure you have a working flashlight, jumper cables, a good scraper, and a shovel. I also recommend carrying a bag of sand or kitty litter to help your tires get grip if you are stuck on ice. Pack some bottled water, energy bars, a phone charger, and extra layers like hats and gloves. It is better to have them and not need them. If, God forbid, you do wind up stranded, do not leave your car. It is your best protection against the elements. You can run the engine for about 10 minutes each hour to generate some heat, but you must check the tailpipe first to make sure it is not blocked by snow. Carbon monoxide is a silent killer, and you do not want those fumes backing up into the cabin. Tie a bright red cloth or a colorful scarf to your antenna or door handle. That splash of color will help the state troopers or rescue teams spot your vehicle against the white background. Let's talk about protecting your house. Nobody wants to deal with the nightmare of frozen pipes. When water freezes, it expands and can burst the line, costing you thousands in repairs. Open the cabinet doors under your sinks to let the room's heat circulate, and leave a faucet dripping slightly. Moving water is much harder to freeze. Make sure you know exactly where your main water valve is located. In an emergency, you need to be able to shut it off immediately. Unhook your garden hoses and wrap any exposed pipes in unheated areas like the garage. A few minutes of prevention now can save you a world of trouble later on. You need a backup plan for keeping warm if the electricity goes out. A fireplace or wood stove is a real blessing in these situations, provided the chimney is clean. However, never make the mistake of using a gas oven or charcoal grill indoors for heat. The fumes can be fatal. If you are relying on space heaters, please use them carefully. Keep them at least 3 feet away from any flammable items like drapes or couches, and turn them off before you go to bed. Ensure your unit has an automatic shutoff switch in case it gets knocked over. Make a run to the grocery store before the weather hits. You should have enough supplies to last 3 days. Plan for 1 gallon of water per person for each day. Buy non-perishable items like peanut butter, crackers, and canned food. Also, remember to pick up any necessary prescriptions and diapers if you have a baby at home. Don't forget about your furry friends. Make sure you have plenty of pet food. Keep a battery-powered radio nearby for weather updates and stash some cash in your wallet. If the power fails, those credit card terminals won't be worth a dime. Test all your smoke and carbon monoxide detectors right now. With everyone running heaters and fireplaces, the fire risk increases significantly. You need the peace of mind that comes from knowing your family will be warned if there is a problem. If you live in an area expecting ice, you need to prepare for power outages. Ice accumulation is incredibly heavy and can snap power lines like dry twig. The utility crews do amazing work, but they cannot operate their bucket trucks in high winds. You might be without electricity for several days. For those of you living out in rural areas, you know it might take a week to get the lights back on. That is just part of country living, so make sure you are ready for the long haul. Plug in all your electronics, phones, laptops, and backup batteries, and get them fully charged. If you have a family member who depends on life-sustaining medical equipment, contact your utility provider right away to get on their priority restoration list. Also, be a good neighbor. Check in on the elderly folks down the street to make sure they are okay. You need a clear plan for where your family is going to stay warm and safe if the power goes out for an extended period. We need to talk seriously about the dangers of extreme cold. Frostbite can set in on exposed skin in as little as 30 minutes when wind chills drop below -18, and parts of the upper Midwest are definitely going to see conditions that severe. Your fingers, toes, nose, and ears are usually the first to suffer. Keep an eye out for skin that looks pale, waxy, or feels numb. If you notice these symptoms, get indoors right away. Use warm water, not hot, to thaw the area, and never rub the skin. If sensation does not return, seek medical attention. Hypothermia is a life-threatening condition where your body temperature falls below 95 degrees. In adults, watch for the umbles as stumbling, mumbling, and fumbling, as well as uncontrollable shivering and confusion. In infants, look for bright red, cold skin, and a lack of energy. We are looking at a critical emergency here, folks. You need to get them into a heated space immediately. Remove any wet clothing and prioritize warming the vital organs, chest, neck, and head using dry blankets or body-to-body contact. Forget about relying on one giant parka. The real secret is proper layering. Start with a base layer to wick away moisture, add a fleece middle to hold the heat, and top it with a windproof shell. And please, wear a beanie, you lose a tremendous amount of body heat through your head. I always tell people to choose mittens over gloves, because keeping your fingers together generates more warmth. Pair those with high-quality wool socks and boots that are truly waterproof, and you'll be in good shape. Do not remain outdoors a minute longer than necessary. Also, ignore the old wives' tale that a drink warms you up. It's false. Alcohol dilates your blood vessels, causing you to lose body heat much faster, so save the whiskey for when you're safely inside. To my fellow seniors and those with heart concerns, please exercise extreme caution with the snow shovel. It is a leading cause of winter heart attacks. Push the snow instead of lifting it. Take frequent breaks, and if you feel any chest tightness, stop right away. I want to take a brief intermission from the meteorological data to address the anxiety some of you are feeling. It is completely natural to worry about your elderly parents, your drive to work, or managing your home when a forecast like this looms. I'm reminded of 2 Timothy 1:7. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. We prepare because we are responsible stewards of His blessings, not because we are afraid. He is present with you in the storm. So, we do our due diligence, we weatherproof the home and stock the pantry, and then we rest in the assurance that He is in control. Living out our faith means caring for our community. Before the first flake falls, go check on your older neighbors. Do they have their medications? Is their heating system functioning properly? Perhaps you have a generator to keep their insulin refrigerated, or a truck capable of navigating snowdrifts to transport someone to a medical appointment. In Matthew 25, Jesus teaches us that whatever we do for the least of these, we do for Him. Whether you're plowing a driveway for a single mother or helping a senior fix their furnace, these storms are opportunities to demonstrate Christ-like love. This is our chance to practically be the hands and feet of Jesus right here in our own neighborhoods. If you are watching this alone, especially our seniors, please do not isolate yourself. Call a friend or a fellow church member. There is no shame in admitting you need some support. Truly, allowing someone to assist you is a blessing to them as well. And if you know someone living alone, take the initiative to make that call. Now, let's get back to the specifics of the timeline so you can plan your actions effectively. For friends in Southern Ontario, Quebec, and Northern New England, preparation time ends today. We are expecting freezing rain by Sunday night, so fill your bathtubs, charge your electronics, and secure your provisions immediately. Keeping the bathtub filled is crucial for flushing toilets in case a power outage affects your water pump. For those in the upper Midwest, Wisconsin, Michigan, you have until Sunday morning before conditions deteriorate. Fill your propane tanks and ensure you are prepared to shelter in place for a full 48 hours. Also, test your snowblower today. You don't want to discover a mechanical issue when there is already a foot of snow on the ground. I know you Great Lakes veterans are accustomed to winter weather, but do not be complacent. This isn't a typical dusting. With this Arctic blast, we could see prolonged lake-effect snow, making a quick trip to the store impossible. For the South, get ready for a drastic temperature plunge, from 70 degrees down to the 20s. Insulate your pipes and move potted plants indoors, because this freeze will be sudden and severe. Looking at the first week of January, that cold air mass is going to park itself over the north. The upper Midwest will struggle to rise out of the teens, and the Ohio Valley is in for a significant deep freeze. The Southeast might see a temporary reprieve with some sunshine midweek, but don't get comfortable, another cold front is trailing right behind it. What concerns me most is the potential for a major nor'easter down the line. When you have cold air locked over the east, meeting Gulf moisture, it creates the perfect setup for a massive snowfall from the Carolinas up to Maine. While I cannot confirm a specific storm track yet, the atmospheric conditions are primed for a significant event. It all hinges on the jet stream. A high-pressure ridge in the west is keeping that region dry while digging a deep trough in the east. This creates a superhighway for storms and Arctic air to flow directly into our region. Regrettably, models suggest this weather pattern will remain dominant through the middle of January. Computer models are signaling a potential system around the 6th, but treat that as a rough estimate for now. These models excel at identifying patterns, and this pattern is shouting winter storm potential. I will continue to monitor the charts and update you as the data becomes more definitive. For my fellow weather enthusiasts, let's discuss the polar vortex. Imagine a vast pool of frigid air sitting over the North Pole, contained by a strong jet stream. When the jet stream weakens or becomes amplified, that pool spills over. The vortex stretches and sends that Arctic air plunging south into our communities. This spill is typically triggered by a high-pressure block like the one currently over Greenland, which forces the jet stream to divert and opens the door for the cold. One branch of the jet stream dives deep into the eastern U.S., pulling that dense, cold air with it. Meanwhile, another branch shoots far north, which explains the temperature spikes we see in other areas during this pattern. We must also consider the ongoing La Niña effect. La Niña energizes the jet stream, creating an active storm track across the north, while leaving the south and southwest warmer and drier, consistent with our current observations. Usually, this setup confines the deep freeze and heavy snow to the north, while the south remains mild, but weather is unpredictable. Cold fronts can and will penetrate all the way to the Gulf Coast. Before we finish, I want to recap the critical points to ensure your family's safety. First, a major winter storm is targeting the upper Midwest and Great Lakes from Sunday into Monday. We expect significant accumulation 6 to 12 inches for Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Michigan's Upper Peninsula, with some areas seeing over a foot. Combined with high winds, this will create whiteout conditions, making travel extremely dangerous. Second, there is a severe ice threat for southern Ontario, Quebec, Vermont, and New Hampshire. A quarter-inch of ice is enough to snap trees and down power lines. Prepare for potential multi-day power outages and impossible driving conditions. Third, temperatures will crash after the storm passes. We expect readings 20 to 30 degrees below average across the east by early next week, bringing dangerous wind chills north and freezing temperatures as far south as the Florida Panhandle. Fourth, this is a sustained pattern change, not a single event. Expect this cold air to linger through the first half of January, potentially bringing reinforcing shots of Arctic air and more storms. Fifth, do not delay. Finalize your preparations today. Stock your pantry, plan for power loss, and check on vulnerable neighbors and relatives. If travel is unavoidable, ensure you have an emergency kit in your vehicle. If you are in the direct path, here is your checklist. 1. Buy groceries and pick up prescriptions immediately. 2. Charge all devices and backup batteries. 3. Winterize your home. 4. Verify your heating system and backup heat source are operational. 5th, simply clear your schedule for Sunday and Monday and stay off the roads completely. I want to leave you with this thought. The weather looks formidable and the risks are real, but we are not without hope. We have the blessing of foresight, the wisdom to prepare, and the resources to stay informed. But folks, beyond the meteorology, we have this wonderful community, and we have our faith to keep us grounded. I am reminded of Psalm 46 verse 1. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Let's rest in that assurance today. We will do our due diligence to prepare, we will check on our neighbors with a spirit of charity, and we will trust that we are going to get through this severe weather together. I will be right here, analyzing the latest model runs and radar data, and I will have updates for you as the forecast confidence increases. The atmosphere is a fluid environment, so it is important to stay tuned. And please, if the National Weather Service issues a warning for your county, take heed. Those meteorologists do not sound the siren without good cause. You can also go directly to weather.gov to see the specific watches and warnings active for your exact zip code. Look after your kin and stay safe out there. I pray the good Lord blesses you and keeps a hedge of protection around your home through this winter storm. May He grant you a peace that passes understanding even when the wind is howling, and may you find an opportunity to lend a hand to someone else in need. Bundle up, stay safe, and remember, winter has settled in, but the spring is always on the horizon. Let's approach this system with wisdom and faith. I appreciate you spending this time with me. Please share this update with anyone who needs to be prepared. Until next time, God bless.